On January 23, late in the evening, residents of Ryazan witnessed drone attacks on several sites in the city at once. We are talking about the oil refinery and the Novo-Ryazan Thermal Power Plant. Refinery in the Ryazan region is one of the largest in the Russian Federation with a processing capacity of 17 million tons of oil per year. At least 3 tanks are burning there now. In addition, the fire that occurred as a result of the drone strikes covered the workshop where the diesel fuel and aviation kerosene hydrotreating plant is located. Local residents recorded more than 50 explosions on social networks. In addition, SBU and SSO drones visited the Ryazan oil pumping station and the Ryazan TPP. The SBU, together with the defense forces, continues to introduce effective drone sanctions against the enterprises of the Russian Defense Ministry and the oil sector in the Russian hinterland. The work on weakening the enemy's military capabilities will continue even further. This is how the security service commented on the operation. The head of the region, Pavel Makov, confirmed the drone attack on the city and the work of the air defense. However, he did not specify which objects were in the drone's field of view. He also added that there were no casualties among the local population, and all the drones were destroyed in the sky. However, bright footage from the oil refinery and thermal power plant testifies to the opposite. One of the residents of Ryazan did not hide the fact that the oil refinery was hit hard. Moreover, the tongues of flame rose higher than a 10-story building. The work of the Russian air defense system can also be judged by a series of shots of missiles striking residential buildings of Ryazan residents. During one such strike, the roof of the house began to burn. The fire itself was later extinguished.
Andriy Polukin, spokesperson for Ukraine's 24th Mechanized Brigade named after King Danilo, stated that the number of Russian troops in Chasiv Yar has increased. He shared the information on Espresso TV. Various units including Akhmat, which consists of former fighters from the Wagner Group, and the volunteer formation Rusich have joined the 98th Russian Airborne Division. All of them are attempting to storm the city and conduct operations. The Ukrainian armed forces respond by inflicting maximum losses on the Russians. However, Russian attacks do not stop. 2 or 3 assaults take place every day. These are very heavy and serious battles in the urban area where shelters are being replaced one by one and the city is being destroyed, said Polukin. At present, Russian forces have been unable to achieve their objectives. They suffer heavy losses, much greater than during defensive operations a few months ago. However, the situation on the front is complicated, according to the spokesperson of the 24th Mechanized Brigade. The Russians are trying to storm and take control of the city using weather conditions to their advantage. They want to break through our defense, deploy personnel behind our lines and begin operations. Currently, they are attempting mechanized assaults to deploy as many troops as possible, Polukin added. The frontline city of Chasiv Yar has become one of the hottest spots in Donetsk Oblast in recent months as Russian troops continue advancing in eastern Ukraine. The city has been partially under Russian control since Ukrainian forces withdrew from the eastern Canal neighborhood in July. Fighting has recently intensified near the city, with Russian forces reportedly using armored combat vehicles in their assault for the first time in late December. More than 200 Ukrainian civilians, many of them vulnerable, are still in the frontline stronghold of Chasiv Yar under heavy Russian assault, a military spokesman told AFP. The strategically important military hub in the eastern Donetsk region has been under attack since 2022, and its buildings have been largely destroyed. According to the military administration, there are 229 people living in the town. Dmytro Zaporozhets, spokesman for the Lugansk group of forces, said in an interview. The vast majority of them are elderly people, people with disabilities and those who care for them, he said. Before the start of the full-scale invasion, Chasiv Yar was home to some 12,000 people. The Ukrainian counter-offensive in the Kursk region of Russia does not cease. As Ukrainian military political expert Dmitry Snegirev explained on the air of the Freedom TV channel, the situation for the enemy there is difficult. Its losses are very high. The Russian offensive in the area of Malaika Lochnia has essentially stalled. Moreover, over the past few days, the Ukrainian Defense Forces have seized the tactical initiative and carried out a number of successful counter-offensive actions in the area of the settlement of Makhnovka, which has been taken under the full control of the Defense Forces, and this is evidence that the Ukrainian counter-offensive is continuing, he stated. In addition, according to Snegirev, the Ukrainian Defense Forces are successfully striking at the permanent deployment sites of the Russian army personnel and the North Korean contingent. Military logistics are also suffering not only in Kursk, but also in Bryansk, Belgorod, and Oryol regions. The Russians are faced with the question of the possibility of expanding the zone of presence of the Ukrainian Defense Forces on the territory of the Russian Federation at the expense of other subjects of the Russian Federation itself. We are talking about the possibility of repeating the Kursk scenario in the Bryansk and Belgorod regions, the guest of the broadcast noted. In summary, Snegirev commented on the enemy's enormous losses on his own territory. During the entire period of the Ukrainian offensive in the Kursk region, according to the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, the losses of the Russian army are estimated at 35 to 38,000 personnel. I will note that the most combat-ready units of the Russian occupation army are concentrated in the Kursk region. A Marine Brigade, airborne divisions, Special Forces brigades, and a Special Forces division of the Russian Guard, that is, the elite in the Russian understanding of the army of occupiers. In addition, it should be noted that there have been heavy losses in the personnel of the DPRK military. According to the Ukrainian president, this is about 4,000 personnel. Let me remind you that according to the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense, up to 12,000 personnel of the DPRK military are concentrated on the territory of the Russian Federation, in particular in the Kursk region. We are talking about the selection units of the so-called Assault Corps, commented Dmitry Snegirev.